Light side with another W, bringing them versus Venom Crescent really scored 2-1. On the other side, Natives is looking at the 0-3. Complicated start for this team, but we need to talk about the game itself. Let's be honest, we saw the Rumble, then we saw the Xante, and we're like, oh, you just countered yourself, mate. Elijah, what are you doing? Elijah thinks. I'm scared.
We went looking a little bit to see like Elijah's champion pool, and we went, okay, pretty standard bruiser player, a lot of Aatrox, a lot of Renekton, a lot of Cassante. Okay, whatever. And suddenly you see why! Like, this guy gets the counter matchup, and let's be real, Theoloris, not a very good Rumble game. But even so, the windows that were exposed, Elijah didn't just open the window. He took a big brick in the shape of one of those Ntofos Cassante carries and just lobbed it repeatedly through there. That glass house has been truly smashed, and Elijah from that point just... There was nothing on the enemy team that could deal with the Cassante post the first couple kills.
There's a reason why the humankind evolved so much from the Stone Age by using stones. So let's talk about with Bartholdi that is waiting for us in the interview after this victory. Pleasure to meet you. Welcome to the show. And
hello, man.
I gotta ask something, okay? To start off. You see Rumble. You pick Xante. It's supposed to be a counter. What was going through your mind, and how did it work so well?
Our top laner is just a Rumble god, so, you know, he doesn't mind, he doesn't care. He just solo kills him, even in a counter matchup, so.
Okay, so tell me something. From the previous split to this split, there's a big change for you. Joining on a Division 1. Do you feel any big difference? How are you handling with this? Bartholdi, tell me about the experience so far.
It's been okay. I mean, I've played for many years. I'm an old man now, so played for many years. I played Italian Division. I played like other splits as well, so it's fun. That's all. Playing for fun. Been to the beach the last 3 days, relaxing, and now I'm playing NLC. You know.
So what would you say is the big difference from the other experience you have towards this one from NLC? Do you think the way that everything changed for Summer Split and we have a lot of rookies and new teams is allowing you to bring that experience up alongside with your team, or where do you stand right now?
I think in general it's just a lot more like professional, the broadcast, the team, how you approach the game in general, and like I think it just scales, you know, like it's hidden in the back of your mind somewhere. You just have to bring it forth.
Another thing that I wanted to ask is the fact that you have Fruity Fresh on your roster, so you know it's an AD carry that doesn't play AD carry. What is your feeling towards having an individual like this that opens up so much on your champion pool and the way the team is allowed to play the game? Do you think this is a good weapon towards the remain of the split, or eventually the teams will understand how we play and they will be able to counter?
I think Fruity has a big advantage. Just look at him, man. The guy's bald, so he has a big buff from that already. I mean, you will just have to wait and see. I'm sure there's other spicy picks out there.
Okay, if you could talk with light side fans in the community, what would you say to them towards the rest of the splits?
Just gonna say, like, thank you for watching our games and appreciate the support, and watch out for the next couple of games. It's gonna be spicy.
I love the spicy on that one. Thank you so much, Bartholdi. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I'll see you soon. I mean, if you're only allowed to bring Smite, might as well bring the Ignite on the interviews, even if it's for your own teammates.
Yeah, I mean, you know, who is Fruity Fresh? For the blind, he is the bald. For the hungry, he is the bald. For the sick, he is the bald. For the sad, the bald. For the poor, he is the bald, and for the dead, he is the bald.
Bold statement. Let's talk with Space on the other side, because there's a lot of questions. I mean, Space, welcome to the interview. Yet again, we get to talk. Yeah. That shirt is kind of fitting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's how I felt after the last game. It's kind of sad to lose this way, but it's also not a good start of the split. But I'm confident we can bring it back.
I wanted to talk about that specifically, the state of mind, because again, I don't see Native's team as a no-3 team. It kind of doesn't make sense to me. So how's the spirit going right now within the team? How was communication going through this game as well? Because you're playing, you're a Jinx, you're supposed to be happy, and you see a Cassante getting fed.
Yeah, there were just like a lot of things that didn't go our way, I should say, this game. Like we have normally a stable top lane, and then sometimes it happens, right? But then we took some bad fights on their timers when we didn't have to, or we got caught, or like I take mid wave too far up against the Vi. A lot of small mistakes that there should be an easy fix to them. So if we fix them, I think we're way stronger as a team.
So you think right now what is happening is all of that is fixable, and is 0-3 is just a state of mind, just going through it, just the beginning of the split. We can adjust, it's okay. You think that?
Yeah, I genuinely think we have really strong players, but it's just like we aren't mixing the players and the strong sides of the players enough yet, and we're not involving everyone in the game plan so that it goes smoothly.
So question, when I hear that, who's the shot caller right now for the team? What is it like a mix?
I think everyone says quite a lot, but I think support says most things with mid lane, like the most standard things. Of course, the jungler early game says the most, and then after transitioning into the mid game, it's like mid and support. And after I take kind of over it, saying what I want to do, because I'm an ADC.
Okay, so there's a lot of voices going for now. Let's see if all the voices align and you get that first W. Do you want to say anything to the community for natives?
Yeah, I'm sorry to disappoint the community of natives, but I promise you we will get some wins on the board and we will still make playoffs. I don't doubt it at all. So I hope they don't lose hope in us.
Before I wrap the interview, Spice, we had a deal.
I know. I still have it here. I still have it here, right here. But
does he make sounds?
Batteries because it's weird
Space.
Batteries.
What do you mean it's weird batteries? It's what do you mean?
It's like the circles, like the little circle ones. It's not like a normal.
It's the watch
battery.
yeah. It's.
I don't know where to find those.
The same place as the other ones.
What? No, I went to the store. I went to the battery section, and I was, bro. I swear to God. Maybe this store is like different or something, but like we don't sell those in Belgium.
I love it, man. I'll give you another chance.
Can I make up by showing another animal?
Wait, you have more animals?
Bro, I got my good old friend here. It's a fox.
I'm confused. Was that a real fox? Or
yeah, it was a real fox.
That was a real fox?
Yeah. I won it like when I was, I don't know, 14, and we went with school to like thing to shoot like bows and stuff, and I was the best.
And you shot a fox?
No, of course not. But like I was the best shooter, and that was my reward. I'm not
so
shooting animals.
Questions.
I love animals.
Thank you so much for the interview, Spice. I want to get more interviews with you because we're building a lot. We're just building a lot, man. Thank you so. Why were you given a taxidermy fox? When you
next time I'll bring another animal, no problem.
What do you mean?
Nothing.
Spice, thank you so much. It's always a
no problem.
to talk with you. I'll see you soon, Spice.
Bye-bye.
I am really worried about what this man is going to pull out next interview. It's like, here is my taxidermy fox that I just keep in a corner of my room. Who does that, man? Like, what's he got in there? Like, there's just like cage full of like scorpions. Like, yeah, here is my little terrarium full of like poisonous animals. And this one here is my former...
That's my former friend.
What?
A scorpion. Come here, kitty, and you see a scorpion walking in. La, la, la.
we have a little pink bow on top of it on the stinger, like a little bow just there.
I just love him.
We started with like lack of life skills, doesn't know what a watch battery is, into, by the way, here's this taxidermied fox I earned in like my real life ADC skills as an archer somewhere. Like,
I have so many questions. I have to interview him more times. I just have to. I'm sorry. I have to do it, NLC. We have to get space on more interviews. Now, for the next game, this is the third of the day, by the way. We only have 2 more. Torak, you've been quiet, so talk to me. NORD versus Verdant. I mean, everybody's on NORD's train, and I talk with them. They're really confident. You have a Romeo, for instance. They're really powerful. They have Nile as well. Everything is going in a line for them. What about Verdant? What can I do?
Well, don't get me wrong, NORD should be confident. I think they come into this match as a team that has been looking competent. However, Verdant have not looked poor either. I think it's really important to note that although Verdant did have a slip-up in week 1, they also had one very strong game, right? And I think they're a team that has some ideas about how they want to play the game. I think Drop as an AD carry is somebody who has a lot of influence over this team, is somebody who will sculpt, a lot of good things happen around him, as we saw, I believe, in a Jinx game, if I remember from the top of my head here. But he's a phenomenal player. Verdant have that firepower as well, and I don't think NORD have shown enough consistency yet for us to go, oh, this is going to be a walk in the park for them. Because even in NORD's wins, they showed a couple of moments where really they did not understand terrain, they were not understanding map design as far as I'm concerned. They were giving over, really nice fights to their opposition, and let's be real, if you do that against Verdant, Verdant will punish you.
I think that's fair. I think the second game from Werner, where Extra went on, 12-1 on the Jinx, really great game. Dopamine pulls out the Ivern, and you're going, okay, fun draft, really enabled the AD carry, Kamsky as well, really good Nautilus performance. That was good stuff, and I think especially after the day 1 game wasn't fantastic. They gave up a couple kills over to... It was painful on the Zed, wasn't it? And there was a moment where you thought maybe they could come back, but then the Jinx just obliterated. I think for NORD,
yeah, tell me.
The game 2 was a lot cleaner, but the first day's games, people were a bit weird. Because again, that was against natives, again, who we just saw. And Romeo was in some weird spots. We saw Alex as well, a little bit desync from his team, Nelly as well. And we saw a lot of it for me was coordination issues around choke points on the map. I think Torak phrased it as questions about what's going on with terrain, and I think that's a fair statement. I do, however, think that X-Drop's not going to have as easy a time this time around, because I think Ecstasy, he's the current fantasy point leader for AD carry. He's looking absolutely terrifying from that role, and that should be really exciting, I think, as a head-to-head matchup. But then you're also adding in a guy like Hunt, who I know people have been saying quietly for a while, look, this guy's really got it. And that should be pretty exciting to follow. I know Edward, who obviously is GK's coach, huge superstar, former player in his own right, saying, look, I really rate Hunt myself. So there's a few big names from an analytical perspective as well, saying keep your eyes on him. So yes, NORD are favored, but it should be an interesting one nonetheless.
It should be an interesting one. I don't want to spoil that much, but there's an interview that will be released soon, TM, with NORD, and they were talking about the fact that Verdant should be a top 4 team. They have that power for them. And just as you highlighted in Initialize, they brought in X-Drop and Kamsky, which is a duo that know each other. They played against each other for a while on LPLOL, on the Portuguese community. And then Kamsky is Portuguese, so by default, that should be enough. I know, Tarek, you should have hired more Portuguese players, I'm sorry. But yeah, when you have that bot lane that know each other,
We're in the NLC. Why is the LP LOL being more cheerleaded here?
I mean, I'm just saying because when you read Kamsky, you have to say at the same time Bacalhau, so it's kind of the same. See, can you say it, Tarok?
Sona OTP.
What?
Sona OTP.
Sona?
That's what Kamsky is.
No, you have to say Bacalhau.
That's from solo queue anyway. No, I'm just flaming your Portuguese boy. I'm taking him down a notch. All right, I'm not trying to pronounce whatever you're trying to get me to do.
You don't need to do that, because obviously Artrom is a washed-up Season 1 pro and Pantheon main. Doesn't really have that much going for himself, so he has to live vicariously through other Portuguese players who still have hands.
Don't worry, I go to the gym to lift weights so I can lift you guys while I'm on broadcast. So, I'm sorry. I
deserve that. That was good.
I'm so sorry. I love you guys. That's not true. But yeah, we were looking. Gosh, I feel bad. I don't like to play people.
No, in fairness, after that, I deserved it. So that's very reasonable.
Gosh, I don't like this. Let's try to show me some luck, please. There we go.
Let's save us all.
Rumble being removed, the tree is fallen as well. So Ivern is out, but that Maokai, that has been something they've been using as well. So,
Yeah, I'm assuming that it will be Verdant on the blue side with the Ivern ban, because Dopamine was the one who pulled that out last week.
Yeah.
I don't think we're seeing a rematch of Natives
There you
versus
go.
Lightside, and production have it sorted. There you go. Yep, Dopamine over on the blue side, and I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce the name. Obviously, he's got the W at the end of the name, so if I get a DM later saying it's pronounced differently, we'll fix that. But it's still going to be a very rapid Senna lock-in, and Senna is one of those champions that is still quite high pro for specific teams. Alex,
the highlight for
Don't-
you, man.
don't do this again. He
I've
hovered
got
the
to
last
jump
week
in.
and then
I've got to
did
jump
this.
in. There's a
Jump
warning
in.
of Senna Seraphine. There's a huge warning of Senna Seraphine going out.
True.
Red alarm,
think
yellow
so?
alert. There is.
Wait!
Okay. Or...
Wait!
Okay. Well, this could be Nasus spot. It could also be Nasus mid and top, because Nasus is really good after the
He was
patch changes.
buffed.
Yeah.
It's got to be quite good into the Jinx, right,
it's
as well.
re-
Like,
it's-
just the Wither
well,
is miserable for
It's
it.
also though really good into Azir in mid. So
Right.
Nord. I mean, I know it wasn't picked in that order, but Nord are walking into Nasus right now in terms of Nasus is in heaven in this mid matchup. If Harbo can play it, I'd definitely put the Nasus there. Nasus can also go bot with Senna for sure. I think those are his two most likely positions, and it'll probably be
This
the
is
AP
fast.
variant. It'll probably be the
That's
AP
very
variant.
strong.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're looking out for in this draft. But more importantly, it's how are Verdant going to round out this Nasus, because it does not carry by itself. So let's see.
And it is still quite kiteable here. Things like the Maokai roots and theoretically Rel and the wall from Azir could make Nasus' ability to actually interact with people a little bit more limited. Harbo, big Syndra player, that should surprise people. That's locked in. The Jax coming in as well throws that top side. So what we've got at the minute is some very scary skirmishing, and they're going to want to try and get as much shove as they can with things like the Soul Flare from the Nasus, the Syndra fighting for that prior mid lane to get Dopamine into the enemy jungle, because Alex on this Maokai can be attacked early, and Kindred is one of those champions, gets red buff and level 3 and can just run at people either in lane or in the enemy jungle. That's surely got to be the angle.
There's an ambulance on the background because Ecstasy won't have fun with that Wither, especially with the armor reduction. It was
They're
buffed.
coming for me.
Level 1, 30% armor reduction alongside the Senna. Farming for X-Drop as Kalmsky is just that support who's annoying. There's a lot of physical damage. I think this is really interesting from Verdant versus Nord. We don't have a lot of time. I want to get your predictions as we jump into this one. Tell me, Torok, you've been quiet. Tell me.
Verdant.
Okay, that was fast initially.
I'm going to go Nord because I think it's probably easier to execute still. I think Verdant have got some really cool stuff, and I love the tech. I just think the tech requires a relatively high level, theoretically, of execution. If it goes wrong, the front-to-back team fight is just so much easier to execute with a Maokai double carry behind it.
I like the idea, so let's jump into the game, but before that, let's toss it to the casters. It is Veteran with a bird and another person.
It's just my op. It's just my op. Like it's unreal. It's unreal. I've got no respect here. And by the way, Archon, it's the bird with Veteran. Okay, like let's be realistic about who's providing the analysis. Here.
True.
How are we feeling? Obviously, the desk had to get through that draft pretty quickly, Veteran. But
Yep.
we've got a bit of cooking here on one side, a little bit more than the other. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Desk has to go through fast because they were extremely confident about this Nasus Senna bot lane pick. Clearly, Verdant came in with a full-on game plan. I'm excited to see how it goes. Blackfire Torch Nasus is all the rage these days. The big thing being that you go into W max on second and the queue goes into third. Honestly, should have been this way a lot regardless, even back when it was like Fleet Footwork mid. I do like pointing out that the Azir is also someone who doesn't want to be playing into this Nasus. So seeing both that Jinx and Azir out, slamming in the Nasus, really good. Paired with the Senna, you normally play a Senna with a kind of bruiser bot lane anyway. This should be a very easy to execute bot lane, more or less plays itself, and then that Wither is going to be an absolute monster in team fights later. This Blackfire Torch into a low mobility Jinx, that could be flash burns much earlier than people think. It's a very oppressive champion, and it's a very oppressive situation for that champion. And then, if you want to go into all the classics, you do actually have a form of range engage with that Syndra. Syndra's always being in this weird, awkward position into champions like Jinx, where she's actually extremely effective.
Yeah, it's just the long range of the scatter. You could just hit someone, completely ping them, and then yeah, if you want to layer a Sulfurus on top of that, just even more damage. Soulfire, excuse me. And then also we've got this Kindred coming in from Dopamine, which I don't really think got too much attention coming out from the draft.
Yep, the Azir honestly feels decently comfortable into that, so long as you can get through the Nasus, get through the Senna, get through the Syndra. That should give them some form of control over the ultimate, but it's clearly a really big front-to-back comp that they're trying to go for with this, and you do have this kind of additional scaling range with the Senna and with that Kindred.
Yeah, well, we'll see if it's able to pay off for Verdant, or whether NORD can keep up their undefeated streak as we head on to Summoner's Rift. Righty, let's kick off. Verdant facing off against NORD. Is it going to be a case of too many cooks in the kitchen for what Verdant have chefed up in the draft phase? NORD keeping it stock, standard, and simple. Alex on the Maokai, Hunt on the Azir, Ecstasy on that Jinx. We have seen this all before.
Yeah, that we have. You know, we haven't seen before. We haven't seen First Strike AP Nasus with fasting Senna on the bot lane. So that's going to be a new one. Interested to see how it goes. The only real displacement that they have into the Kindred as well is that Azir. I was trying to remember if the jungle or top picks had any more displacement there. But no, this was not a last rotation Poppy into Jax and Kindred. This was the Aatrox going in instead. And, you know, if you're modeling it as Nasus actually having to go into melee range, could see it working. But this game, not so much.
Romeo just wanted to give Karmsky a stack there on the Senna, nice and early. I do think we should be highlighting Romeo as a key player because I think last split he came in obviously pretty much a rookie onto NORD with very little competitive experience and completely shook up the league with how aggressive he was in his engages and how much playmaking potential he brought out. He's been doing exactly the same thing in summer.
Yep, trying to get these first strikes out from X-Drop. Romeo, though, trying to zone them a little bit off the wave, but that wave ultimately is going to be moving in. Dopamine, this feels very, very planned. Like, they definitely knew what they wanted to do in the early portions of the game. NORD not able to play as far up, X-Drop able to get a little bit more than he was probably expecting. Remember, he has started with that E, so it's not Q stacking that he's looking to be doing at this portion of the game. He's getting poked down, he's winning on all of these trades. You have to think when the all-in potential comes out from this bot lane, they're going to be into significantly more HP than normal, and if that all-in doesn't immediately get kills, you're just going to get poked down by this Nasus E over and over again. You know the name of the E. What is the name of the E? Let me know.
Soulfire? I'm pretty sure I said it. I said Soul Furnace, and that's Scion W, I think, for some reason, but I'm pretty sure it's Soulfire. Also, First Strike as well, like we've already talked about, so you're making a little bit of extra bank in the laning phase. So even though you are a melee champion in the bottom lane, which ostensibly means you're going to have a bad time, you're still going to be getting access to a fair bit of economy. Shihan getting a shove in the top lane, going for a bit of a cheater recall, so it can come back to a lane with a bit of additional power.
And it's also being hella buffed since last split.
Hella buffed.
Yes, hella buffed. So we've gone from Rich Gang last game to Rich Dog on this one.
Ooh. That's Snoop, you know?
Yeah.
Richest dog of all.
Enjoyable interactive laning phase for the Jinx.
I mean, this is just like every game versus Nasus mid. He just does this constantly.
All of the many games of experience.
Hey. Platinum Elo Flex Q has got some people cooking in it. All right, I'll have you know. Dopamine going for gank into the top lane here. Decent sized wave here in favor of Nilay as well as the level lead, but probably going to have to burn a summoner spell here if he wants to escape with his life. Jihan and Dopamine not overcommitting to get the kill onto the Aatrox, and he can just TP back into the lane. Drop. Needs to be careful. Flashed onto by Romeo. Alex as well investing that summoner spell, and Ecstasy not quite going to get the kill. It goes over to the Rel.
Yep, but getting that dog out of lane does matter here. The big thing is, though, that lane is moving, and it's moving into more of like a freeze position, but it's not like they can recall and match the teleport Nasus just did. So Nasus does have an additional wave where he can look to fix this. You're hoping it's a cannon here, and if it is a cannon here, oh, it doesn't matter because you have now interrupted. You have interrupted that initial recall. Even though that looks initially good for NORD, this is going to turn into a very big advantage for Verdun.
No.
Wow. Komsky might go.
And I mean, approaching this wave is just very, very difficult for Rexy and Romeo because of that health bar differential. Where they're going to be dropped down. I mean, Romeo is genuinely in a pretty dire state. The level up is going to provide a bit of additional health, but still, there isn't really much that the NORD bot lane can do. They have to get a reset in soon.
Yep, and look at the CS gap now on bot side. You have to think that makes up for that 1 kill on the rail. This is also XP that's going away from Ecstasy. That cleanse is there for a W, by the way. It's there for a W. That's not really going to care about losing that. It's going to be a completely worth burn over and over again. That's plates for Komsky on bot side. That's priority for this initial Drake for Kindred. It's more first strikes for the Nasus. It's much more of a lead for the Nasus. And what initially looked to be a good gank on bot side has gone bad in every possible way.
And I do feel like you're sort of playing a chicken a little bit with the way that Verdun drafted this composition, because NORD have looked very good with Ecstasy on this Jinx, right? Yeah. 2 player of the games, 2 player of the days last week, and I don't know. Maybe we're getting a little bit too much stock on those MVPs, but he has put up some exceptional performances, right? And so I was kind of looking at the draft going, aren't they just going to ban it? But no, they've drafted around it, and I think that is such a much more creative solution to the problem that Ecstasy is posing to basically every team in the league with this Jinx.
But this Jinx is going to have a very difficult time. You're seeing CS denial happening from drop tossing those Ws in on last hit opportunities and making Ecstasy's autos be off in timings with those last hits on the tower. Significantly far behind on that bot lane now. They're going to get this in and potentially deny a large portion of this wave away from the Nasus, but Nasus is still going to have a very significant, almost 2-wave lead in towards Ecstasy down here. And yeah, Ecstasy's had really good performances, but performances on Jinx, right? Like, it's noticeable when the Jinx is bad, but there's a minimum level of skill where you should be a very effective Jinx depending on how the rest of the team is performing. And Hunt's been performing really, really well on this Azir. We talked about Azir as being their big play into the Kindred later on, into that Kindred ultimate. He's gonna have to play very delicately with this setup though. That Syndra can do things into him, that Nasus can do things into him. If he wants to find the angles, he has to put on a really strong performance. But they've been able to rely so far on Hunt having those strong performances in their first weekend. He needs to put on an absolute clinic this time around.
I think what really impressed me about his Azir last week was his ability to go aggressive at the right times in order to get maximal value out of the champion, not just standing at maximum range, throwing out your soldiers as much as you can. Nille dropping down low in the top lane, and Dopamine is here to pick up the pieces. Nille going aggressive because he has to fight his way out of this situation. Lamb's Respite going to get dropped down. It's looking a lot better for the Aatrox than it once was, but he's still going to fall in the end as Verdun pick up the kill.
Well timed on the E there, not able to do anything when coming out of the Kindred ultimate. That Aatrox does fall, and that is a pretty significant lead topside. Nilla has no TP, that is a lot of waves being removed. Verdun getting a really, really good laning phase for them now, both on the bot lane and on the top side. The mid lane, Harbor is naturally able to accrue a lead over Hunt. You're in a decent matchup, but crucially you have winning side lanes. You have those priorities. Hunt has to play a lot safer here. So right now, Verdant, across the board, doing very well.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of reflected in, obviously, the gold advantage that they, advantages that they've been able to obtain, but also they've been getting those neutrals as well. First Dragon and those first 3 grubs, which gives them a whole host more options as we get later into this game. And yes, NORD have got strong scaling on their side, the Azir, the Jinx, we know what these champions do, but it's not like Verdant are going to be weak as this game goes later.
Yeah, no, Nasus will scale in really, really hard in the mid-game. Komsky on that center, theoretically infinite scaling, and depending on the item builds, can have ridiculous levels of scaling going later. And Jax, a very famous behemoth off of 2 items into the rest of the game on those side lanes. So loads of options for Verdant to match scaling into NORD as well. Obviously though, NORD potentially just one reset, one mistake, one big displacement by Hunt away from Ecstasy getting kill into kill into kill on Jinx. And this isn't necessarily hypothetical with NORD. We've seen them pull off these compositions before, which is likely how Verdant were able to get such a scouted set of counter picks into them. They were relying clearly on certain setups from NORD. Ecstasy on Jinx, Hunt on Azir. Right now you could say that that is a standard NORD composition, and Verdant, they've come into play into that composition specifically, into NORD at their best.
We're talking about resets as well. Nile as well on the Aatrox gets a single kill and he can start to take over, but like you mentioned, Shihan's been doing a great job up against him. Nice to see him back in the NLC as well. Harbo just getting caught auto-attacking a ward here. Romeo going to be flashing with the Q. Ecstasy not going to be handed the kill on a silver platter. Instead, it goes over to Alex.
Yep. Hunt going in there trying to grab that last hit as well. But your stay at Harbour Hotel is over. Azir's going to get this wave in. Harbour might actually have teleport just barely up on time, and it looks like Verdant are trying to respond really hard on bot side. Ecstasy still not able to just freely move up against this wave. He's getting some CS here, but my god, that's a lot of plates that Karmsky and Drop for being able to get bot side. It looks like a very big match. Hunt is ahead on this roam down towards bot side. That might dissuade Verdant from moving in further. Harbour only just TP'd in towards mid lane. Yep, and it looks like Verdant will back off. They don't want to try anything too extended on the bot side there, knowing that the numbers are not on their side in the long run.
No, but hold on, because Drop's been able to TP back into lane, he's got that Blackfire torch in him, so actually now Verdant might fancy themselves to go for something a little bit more aggressive. Not going to be looking towards the tower, instead rotating towards the Drake.
Yep, NORD, they don't want to give this one up. It's going to be much more of an even set of numbers here. Jax doesn't have teleport off of that recall, but Nilla does. Bear this in mind. Nilla for NORD does have a TP angle in. If NORD do decide to contest this, it is de facto numbers advantage for NORD. And Verdant looks like they want to abandon bot side with this in mind. They're moving into mid, trying to deny Hunt easy progression, but Jinx is going to get a good collapse on that bot wave and be able to join. Top wave is on full reset. Jax has moved in towards bot lane now. They are cognizant of the Nilla TP.
Alex is going to be throwing down the ultimate here. Dopamine dashing back over the wall, and looks like Verdant are giving it up for now. But still a load of damage. Do they go over? Not quite able to take down the dragon. That one is going to be secured by NORD, but they have to pay with their jungler's flash to get it. Shihan TPing back up towards the top side to match Nilla.
Yep, so Jax, save TP, walks in towards bot side. TP came up as he was in the bot side of the map, and now he's utilized that to prevent Nilla getting the big bounce back. But this gives NORD TP advantage again on the next cycle. So if they want to go for these grubs, the scenario where you get Nilla out of that lane and in towards bot side could be very advantageous for them. Or they're just going to overload top side, be like, let's be real, that bot tower is basically paper already. Nilla can go catch that whenever he wants. We want to make sure that we do contest them on this neutral top. We don't want Verdant to be on the 5-stack. My god, he's winning this
Shihan was kind of running this top lane earlier, but Nille has gotten a couple of very nice trades there. Dopamine and Harbo already able to take out a single one of those grubs. His first tower drops in the bottom lane, 3-14 minutes. That's so much gold going into the back pocket of X-Drop, and all the while that Ecstasy is doing these grubs, he's not farming, he's not closing that gap.
Yep, Azir catching though, and Azir does have TP to top side. He's not moving up to X-Drop because he wants the excuse to be able to TP top if this turns into an extended contest. Jax though is on recall, so Jax not going to participate in the numbers fight on top there. Verdant very aware that they are at full TP disadvantage right now, and NORD playing with the advantage that they have. They're able to deny 5 grubs on Verdant. Verdant only able to get 4 for NORD getting 2, and NORD with that Mountain Drake. That Mountain Drake could be a fairly big build as we go later on into the game.
Even though it's only 4 grubs, you're still going to be getting that additional Voidwite spawning for you. So tower destruction capabilities definitely favoured for Verdant as it stands, but if Ecstasy, Hunt get free time with the turret, then it is going to absolutely melt. It's been a fairly low action, low kill game, I would say. Verdant potentially looking to change that. They're looking for a stun down onto Romeo. Instead, Shihan going to be looking at this Herald.
Harbor getting TP up, but they're all grouped very heavily on top side. They're just overloading it. And NORD is saying, you know what? If they're going to overload on this, we're going to fix top, we're going to fix mid, and we are going to leave Hunt on towards bot side like this. Let's see if Harbo burns his TP to try to defend bot. If he does, we get to win the map on the next rotations. Otherwise, we have tempo now, and the worst thing that Verdant can do is just match tempo with that Herald later on. So we're in a pretty good position here. It looks like Verdant will just jam this into mid. They're not even going to save it for the Drake. They're not even going to utilize it on side. They're going to become really hard play now.
Could be dangerous here as they're engaged on in the midsection. Dopamine
Almost
going
a
under the
reset.
tower to look for XC. Has that ultimate, is going to be popping it. TP coming through, and
That's
it
a
looks like
reset.
Verdant have over-aggressed themselves. Hunt not able to get the slam back as it's double flashes away from the bottom lane of Verdant, but they're the ones who
Huge.
make a play for that tower, and it's NORD who come out on top.
Huge flashes though. We talked about the playmaking potential of Hunt on this as being one of the most impressive aspects of it, and now neither drop nor Calmsy is going to have flash in 2 minutes time when that Drake spawns. So that's going to be the next point of contest. NORD are going to have all of the summoners advantage there to be able to abuse those low mobility champions of the Nasus and of the Senna. But when we look at TPs, it looks like Jax is going to be that guy that is going to be able to do something around top side of the map when that Drake's happening and try to create an additional point of pressure that NORD will have to respond with, because all of NORD's TPs went down. That was a risky play by Verdant on midsection. The advantage that they got from it wasn't a tower down, it was those teleports, and they have to make sure that they set up the map properly to be able to utilize that on the next set, or Hunt could make a huge MVP moment, take out that Nasus, take out that Senna, and potentially get a significant lead for NORD on the Drake that's coming up in just one wave's time.
Need to be careful of that mid lane tower though, because whilst XC was left alone there defending it, so it's taking a fair bit of chip damage, and once that falls, then approaching things like the Dragon, like potential Barons as we get later on, becomes significantly more difficult regardless of who you are. It's kill lead for NORD, but sizable gold advantage in favour of Verdant. A load of that on drop, but Shihan quietly starting to pull ahead as well.
They didn't see that. They didn't see the gold advantage. All they see is the kills. So mental advantage on the side of NORD. Verdant see a loss. NORD don't see it right now. Don't underrate that. Don't underrate that middle core.
Yeah, Shihan does not see the 25 CS lead against his lane opponent.
He also doesn't see the TP advantage that he has. Drake is coming up, and topside. Topside doesn't really matter here, like at all right now, nor do the lack of TPs on the side of NORD, so it's all going to come down to, does Hunt find this angle into drop and into Kalmsky? This is a bit of an overgrouping by Verdant. And this Drake, yeah, this Drake can be important on the next set, but Hunt does have priority on bot side. He is going to go for a flank angle. They don't have to do something before Hunt arrives. They have vision of him. If they don't do something before Hunt arrives, and they're simply going to be attacked from 2 points, they have no way of splitting up NORD because they didn't commit to side lanes with their TP pressure. Doesn't seem like they took stock of the advantages they got from the Herald drop earlier middle cop. Let's see how this works out.
They've still got push as it stands, and they've got 50% of Alex's health bar off of Summoner's Rift, which is going to give them first rotate in towards this Dragon pit.
Those are the guys to
has
watch.
already started it up, and hopes that drop
Looking
can
for
offer. Fairly significant here. Alex looking for an ultimate. Harbo just on the side. Verdant are very split at this point, but NORD not able to find firm purchase, and really any member of the enemy team. It's going to give them the opportunity to take out this Dragon, rotate through and defend this mid lane tower as well.
Yeah, Verdant able to kite back in towards Drake pit, but NORD, they do have a decent map for them right now. They fix that midsection, don't commit early enough to be able to actually get significant chip damage out on the tower, but Hunt is already on the top side. No one's matching him yet. Jax is on the bot side. If Verdant want to do something with that TP, they could do it around Hunt on top there, but he's very safe, and NORD are in the better position on that map there. Big problem, though, is that they are behind in tempo. If you can accelerate on mid and on bot as Verdant, make any sort of a catch whatsoever, NORD will have to respond.
There's that mid lane tower dropping.
5 seconds.
Result of some of that
on Hunt.
extended pressure.
5 seconds.
Hunt's going to be able to take this top lane turret solo, so that's a couple that he's been able to pick up for himself, and he's starting to get a little bit further ahead of Harbo, not just in terms of the CS department, but also just in terms of the raw gold value.
window gone, they were able to take out mid tower for that tier 1, and that does make the next set of rotations easier for Verdant. But any acceleration play on this tier 2 that they wanted to try to get tempo over Hunt, they weren't going to be able to do so because that TP came up right as they were able to get that crash onto the tier 2 bot side. They can't just go for the dive on the Aatrox. Hunt will be able to respond, and that would be a losing situation. So they have to say, all right, the map is in somewhat of an even state. The next set is going to be easier for us to play out because we have more control of those rotations from top side to bot side because we took out that mid tier 1. Now we need to play with that, and we need to play cognizant of the fact that both sides of both sets of TP up. The game is essentially reset at this point, right? Whoever blinks first is going to put themselves in this advantageous position. It's all about being patient, calm, and confident with your map play, and both teams have shown strong map play in the first weekend of NLC. Let's see who plays well in this set where every single summoner spell is up.
Oh, and the stakes are being raised as well, because post 20 minutes, obviously we've got a Baron that needs to be factored into the equation, so messing up on one of those rotations or just straight up being in the wrong position hands over pretty significant advantages over to your opponent. Harbo and Dopamine here in the top side, Calm Sky here as well. Both teams pretty aware of what they need to be fighting over. Alex flashing away, not quite going to get stunned by Shihan as he drops the ultimate in reply as well, and Verdant don't have to invest all that much to get some pretty key tools out of the enemy jungler.
Yeah, big flash burn from Alex there. Flash W Maokai, or even W Flash Maokai for all the connoisseurs point and clicks out there, is actually a pretty big deal. They weren't able to burn the TP from Nilla, but the first mini advantage comes out from Verdant. This has been the big moment for Aatrox to finally get the wave push past Creek on bot side. That should make the next set of rotations somewhat easier for NORD. But in terms of catch potential, in terms of being able to burn key summoners on Verdant, it just got a lot harder for NORD. Yes, that ultimate will be back up in a couple of waves time, but that flash is not coming up anytime soon. Remember, we didn't just get a big map reset because of all of the summoners now being reset in, we also got a big reset because the Baron is in play, and we are definitely into late game scenarios.
Whilst Alex may be without that summoner spell, Romeo still has his. And if there was a man who was going to make a play for NORD Esports, then it's that guy in the support role. Dopamine finally able to get his 4th stack on the Kindred and get some upgraded range, so a little bit longer than he maybe would have liked in order for him to get that, but has a been a particularly bloody game which is not conducive to Kindred getting those stacks.
Verdant moving that vision wall up with the big advantage they have with the tier 1 mid down. Naza's catching the wave very, very far up, and Kindred removing as many jungle caps and bot side as possible. Look at the pressure they are outputting on those two lanes there because of that mid tower being down. If NORD want to get mid tower down on their opponents, they need to find an angle, which is why it's such a huge deal to be burning that flash on Alex and makes everything so hard. The Aatrox has managed to find something on top side by getting this wave in. He's looking to see if there's an angle, but the Naz is already off map, the Senate is already off map, Jinx is now shoving in on midsection there. You move up this far, look at that ward that they placed when they moved their vision up. Remember we mentioned that if NORD overcommitted there, that was a TP in. Right, that was a really good set of TPs, and that's why Jax is playing as far back as he is there. So patience again is key. Like, you have to be confident in your map movements here. You can't disrespect your opponents. Both teams have very good understandings of the map here at this point. Don't blink. Whatever you do, do not blink, Verdant. NORD trying to do it again by vanishing into the fog of war. You can feel the tension here, right? You can see how big one slip up could change the game. It looks like Verdant, though, they're going to go on Soul Point. If you want to threaten them, punish them for this Soul Point, you have to commit to this Baron.
Shihan starting up the Dragon, has the TP. Should he need to join the rest of his team, and with how much damage NORD have done to that Baron, I think he may need to join the rest of his team here. Romeo stepping backward now, looking forward. Drop going to get rooted here, and oh my word, there's just nothing that they can do. Finally, a TP is going to come through, and Hunt taken out by Dopamine on the other side.
From 2K!
He could go over the wall, but does get the smite secured by Alex, and the fight is looking Verdant. NORD, they get the Baron, they get the purple worm, but Verdant find the kills.
Hunt didn't burn his TP for that. He tried to zone off Dopamine while the Baron got finished, but he zoned off Dopamine, gave his life for it, and the Baron did not get finished. All he did was get the hop away from Dopamine there and prevent him going across the pit with that. He gave his life for it. He will need that flash later on, though, because now they have to play with Ecstasy and Romeo's Barons. They're not going to be able to play side lane plus unless they have Romeo stack on side lane and do some weird 1-1-3. Very, very unlikely. They're basically doing a defensive midsection. Hunt has to find a play with this one remaining flash. Drop doesn't have flash here. Kalmsky still has it. Harbo still has it. Nothing up on Sheen with that TP being down as well. This is looking like a very difficult situation for Nord. They got the Baron, but I think Verdant are very comfortable with the map as is.
I think great example as well of patient play from both of our teams, right? Understanding just in the general concept of this game that if they get late, they can win it out. And being willing to take their time and being willing to move around the map and having the discipline to not make any massive oversteps, but Nord, they were able to get that Baron, then they were able to get a little bit more gold in their pocket. Siege coming through onto this mid lane
Jinx
tower.
will get reset off the tower.
Not enough
Jinx
members
will reset!
of Verdant here to defend. As here comes
This is
Nord.
huge!
They're trying to get on top of Kalmsky. Dopamine
Hold
gonna get taken
Ecstasy!
out before he had the ult.
Nice.
It's just going to be a single kill for Nord. But the tower also going to be claimed.
You can see the level of tankiness that Verdant have though, right? Ecstasy off the second reset there, wasn't quite able to get much damage down there. Good playmaking by Hunt there, good playmaking by all involved. That was really, really big. They had absolute every confidence that Ecstasy would be able to play off the reset that you get on structures. You don't want to be around. You don't want to be around the tower if a Jinx is about to blow it up. That is a ticking time bomb right there. And Nord played off of it beautifully. The map was in a good position for Verdant, but now Nord feel, okay, they're bleeding, they are blinking. Maybe we rushed it a bit too much going on the Baron, but at least we made the decision. I think Verdant, out of all the decision-making that has happened so far in this late game, have a few more regrets than Nord do right now.
Especially given that Verdant themselves are on the sole point.
Yes.
So if they've been able to hold on to that mid lane tower for a couple more minutes, then their approach towards the Dragon Pit would have been so much easier. But now Nord are in a place where they can position a bit more aggressively and deny Verdant that approach, which for the last couple of Dragons, they have been very keen to take.
Yeah. Nord trying to maintain some semblance of control on the map now. It's gotten a lot easier now that neither side is completely safe. Kalmsky Drop don't have a tower to retreat to here now. So instead of these consistent, aggressive pushes in midsection, you're much more likely to see what you're seeing here. Shallow catches and shallow clears. As Ecstasy's ranged DPS AoE becomes the easier method of clearing and safer method, crucially, of clearing mid lane in the absence of both of these towers. Ooh, look at Jax. Look, both Jax and the Aatrox being very respectful of the potential setups that their opponents are doing. Now that Verdant are moving up in the line in towards River, Jax feels safe to be taking the CS on bot, and equally with the knowledge that Jax is on the CS on bot and therefore the likelihood that Verdant are leaning to bot side, now Aatrox is on top there. But that is the decision Jax was able to make first. So Jax's team, Verdant, will still be ahead with one wave left until that Drake. Potential soul for Verdant, a Cloud soul at that. Look at the ultimates on the side of Verdant. They will want to play for that, and Nord do not have the option of giving it up.
Miller being able to deal a little bit of damage down onto this tower, and it feels like Verdant's propensity for grouping fairly aggressively has resulted in a bit more gold going in favour of the Nord top lane than they would have necessarily liked. But it does mean that losing this mid lane tower has not resulted in a gargantuan loss of pressure in the mid lane.
Aatrox moving half the map away to make sure Jax doesn't interrupt this recall. If Jax did ever interrupt the recall there, then full disadvantage for Verdant on this next Drake. Now Aatrox got that recall, got that gold off that he just got from taking that tower. He's TP'd into group with his team. They have to go aggressive. The Drake is up now. They have to make a play. Even a flip is better than the guaranteed loss you'll have if you don't do anything. Romeo moving extremely aggressively here. Alex trying to fish for a pick. Ecstasy trying to make sure he doesn't get anything. Schillen did go for the big play, trying to get the Drake before Nord win there, but Nord are playing
Oh,
extremely
here comes
aggressive.
Romeo with the engagement on the back line, and down goes Dopamine! No serotonin present for the Verdant jungler. It's the man in the support role for Nord once again pulling the trigger and finding the play that his team needed.
Patience when they needed it, aggression when they needed it, and I could be talking about either Verdant or Nord in this game. This is an extremely high quality of League of Legends at play here in the NLC, and Nord have just about come up on top with the decision to move in, with each individual player's decision that they know they have to make here and now. They did it, they were rewarded for it, and now Verdant are on the back foot. But the last 9 minutes of gameplay here have been extremely strong. Now Verdant, they are the ones that must be aggressive. They are the ones that cannot allow Nord to get more off of that victory that they got there. They can't let that losing battle turn into a losing war, because the war is still on, and they have worthy opponents.
And the thing is, even now, themselves in slightly disadvantageous space because of the triple TP that they're running. It's so easy for them to answer these waves and move across the map. Shihan went bot, TP'd immediately up to the Baron pit, and Drop went to pick it up. Now he's getting TP'd onto, and multiple members of NORD are converging on the top lane as Shihan jumps over the wall, but he cannot escape from all 5 members of the red side team. Verdant, though, recognizing that the Baron is not something that they can contest right now, will get the shove in the mid lane and start to make their way over. It's too late, though. There's nothing they can do. The purple worm goes in favor of the red side team. NORD not quite able to find and engage on the second half, but after being down ostensibly this entire game, now they're in the driver's seat.
Yeah, Verdant do need to get the reset off. Even though they have the wave in on midsection there, they can't play with it because all of NORD, they were able to press B off that play top. They were able to press B off that Baron. They have spent gold right now. Verdant are much, much weaker than them. Not just with the death of the Jax, but also in terms of itemization in the event of any kind of 4v4. They do get Harbo back on the map. Jax is going to be back on the map soon, but it's going to be defensive play from Verdant now. The game is slipping away from them slowly but surely. NORD!
Oh my god, again! Again an engagement! And a member of Verdant falls down. This time it's Harbo dropping into the grave. And NORD, look at the time. Post 30 minutes. This is their world. And we are just living in it. A siege onto the tier 2, and I'm not sure they're stopping there.
Right, I do have to say, once NORD got the clear advantage in this game, they really put their pedal to the metal. They are not giving Verdant any room to breathe. But it took so long for any clear advantage to happen because both teams were so evenly matched in their understanding on the map, in the way that they bounced plays, in the way that they played around TP, in the way that they played around Summoner times. They were very conscientious of it through and through. But now that there's a clear advantage, that knowledge means that both sides know which way this game is going. Both sides know which team is very, very likely to come out with the lead here. A great composition from Verdant, but unfortunately League of Legends is a map-based game, a game about minions, a game about structures, and NORD have all of that right now. 2 inhibitors down, leads across the board from what was an even game state for the longest time, and now they're resetting to look for that final push around bot side, with Drake coming up in 2 and a bit waves time, with bot inhibitor the only one left standing, bot tier 2 the only one left standing. The last semblances of Verdant's map are there. They're gonna have to pull off one hell of a defense if they want to bring this game back.
And it's the nature of League of Legends that after 30 minutes of playing some pretty complicated macro, it's very, very simple now for NORD.
Yeah. They're not even paying attention to top or mid. They don't have to. The inhibitors are down. The minions are on their side. Truly, NORD have 6th and 7th teammates, and they are overloading this map on the bot side. They have a good flanker on that mid lane. That's going to split Verdant off the longer that he's able to get priority there. Verdant have to make a decision. They have to do it now.
The last opportunity to find any sort of defense. That top wave pretty far away, but here comes NORD. It's going to get rooted. Romeo
I'm
once
down.
again fighting engagement into the backline. But look at it on the backline. They're all dying. They're all dead. Verdant on the brink of defeat. Find life and remove 4 members of NORD.
One wave later, NORD would have been able to walk through that bot lane turret with a spread apart Verdant, so Verdant made the decision in the only moment they can. Oh, and get an ace for it, and are rewarded. Both teams right now have been heavily rewarded when they had to make the brave decision, and they took it with no hesitation. TP's coming up on Hunt soon. TP's already up on Nilla. There's 20 seconds for Hunt to be on the map. 45 seconds for Nilla to be up on the map. Burn are going to try to get everything they can. Could they end the game
No
off
way.
this?
No way.
Ecstasy, Romeo, and Hunt all coming up in 10
It
seconds.
was
They have to
so
vomit everything.
simple for NORD.
They have to do everything.
But one mistake
No,
could
don't
flip
flip
the game completely out of nowhere.
Oh!
Verdant find the victory against NORD.
My God, that ending actually off of one huge team fight on bot. We were talking. That was a really, really good game for so long. Then NORD got their advantage. It looked like the game was completely in their hands. There was one very small, about 20-second window where Verdant could take a fight. It would be a flip, but anything else would be a loss. They took it, and they were rewarded with the entire game right there. Verdant have won that war.
And I think this is vindication for Verdant, right? We were talking about, I think Torek especially on the desk, talking about how last week there was good stuff out of the team. This isn't cut and dry, and they proved it. A win for Verdant. No more undefeated teams left in the NLC. We will see you after the break.
Break it down, step on the gas, let's get out of town. We're gonna break out and have some fun. We're gonna do what you never done. Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, take your body with you. It's a money weekend. Everything we wanna, we go do. We go do. It's leisure, we go do.